Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing really well. So I'm just keeping an eye on the weather. I've been here for about an hour. When I left my house it was quite cloudy and the sun's come out, so I'm kind of debating whether to just go back home or not. I'm at a place called Englishman River Falls, which again I've photographed quite a few times over the years, and I've done a number of videos, and I'm really surprised at how low the water is. I thought it was going to be much higher. Usually there's a creek that comes down the side here, and also this waterfall comes all cascading down these rocks in front of me, or just to the side of me here, but it's as dry as a bone. So I'm just wondering if there's anything worth photographing. It's going to be a challenge for sure. I was hoping to take some shots looking down the gorge, and I might still do that. But something else that I've noticed is that over the winter there's been some large trees that have fallen, or some extra trees, and now there's a new one across the gorge, and it's a bit of an eyesore when it comes to photography. Now it's quite thin, so I might be able to clone it out, but yeah, it's I don't know, we'll have to see how it goes. I've got to try and keep an open mind. I think part of the problem is I had expectations. I had something in mind already, and of course now that I'm here that's kind of gone down the toilet, so I have to think of something else to photograph, which is probably not a bad thing. That's why a lot of these areas I usually try to keep an open mind and try to keep my expectations really low, because I know that from just past experience, every time you go to an area over and over again, it changes constantly. It's surprising how much a landscape really does change, and this is no exception. So the water levels are low, and we have deadfall that I wasn't expecting. So I'm going to wander around and probably just go down here. At least I can wander into the main creek with my wellies on. I might be able to get some unique composition, so that is a good thing. All right. Okay, I think I found a composition. It's a little bit precarious here, and of course it's pretty loud, so hopefully you can hear me okay. So the main waterfall is just behind me here. It goes down to that big gorge, but what I like about the Englishman River is that it has all these smaller waterfalls that kind of run along the side of it, and that's a nice thing. When the water levels are quite low, then it exposes all of these rocks, so in some ways it could be potentially really good, because they have all these little cascades going in between the rocks. If there's a lot of water, then it's just one big mass of water. So I think this composition might work. I have the little cascade at the very top of the frame, and then the stream kind of veers over to the left, and then it comes down to the right, and we have these beautiful boulders in the foreground. There's quite a bit of sheen on them, and I really quite like it, but I think I'm going to take some shots with a polarizer as well. I'll just use a regular polarizer, try to keep the shutter speed probably around 1/5 of a second or 1/4 of a second. The light is beautiful right now. The sun has gone behind some clouds, but it's still quite directional. Right, I'll finish setting up my composition, and then I'll try and get the camera behind so you can see what I'm thinking. Okay, now hopefully you can see this. What I've done is I have this rather large boulder in the foreground here, and you can see the little cascade at the top of the cliff right here, and then I have it coming over to the left and then down to the right, so we have two diagonal lines here. Now the polarizer, I wanted to get rid of some of the sheen, but not all of it. See if that's unpolarized, and you'll notice there's quite a bit of sheen on this rock in the foreground. And as I turn it, I can get rid of all that sheen, but then to my eye it loses some of its dimension. So I'm just going to polarize it just a little bit, about there. As far as shutter speed goes, I'm going to experiment. Right now I have it at 1/4 of a second, and I'll probably try a little bit faster, say a 1/5 or a 1/6 of a second, and then a couple a bit slower, and then pick out the ones that I like. And something else I'm going to try, this is my 32 to 64 millimeter lens. And what I'd like to do is show you how you can emphasize a foreground by just putting on a slightly wider lens. So what I'm going to do is put it on the 23 millimeter and get much closer to this boulder and really emphasize it, and you'll notice that all of a sudden it'll be the dominant part of the frame. Right now it's quite dominant, but as soon as you put a wide angle lens on and get really close to that foreground, then the foreground really takes over the image. So I'll take these images and then I'll put on the wide angle and show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I've gotten closer with the wide angle lens, a 23 millimeter, and I've really gotten close to this rock here. And you'll notice how much it's really emphasized that rock by just getting a little bit closer with a wide angle lens. And look how much smaller, or how much more insignificant the waterfall is in the back. All the emphasis is now on the foreground. So I've said this a number of times, if you really want to emphasize a foreground, use a wide angle lens, but make sure that you get really close to that foreground so that you do emphasize it. Now as far as this composition goes, it's okay, but what I don't really like about it is the rock is a little bit too central. It's just a little bit too dominant. So I could either just back up a little bit with the wide angle lens, or just use the lens that I had before. So when I get back, I'll compare the two images and I'll let you know which is my favorite, and perhaps you can let me know which one you enjoy the most in the comments down below.
As you can see in the final results, the image taken with the 23 millimeter, the boulder in the foreground is definitely more dominant, but I actually prefer the composition with the 32 to 64. Not necessarily because of that dominant foreground, but I just like the composition better in that image. You'll also notice that in the wider angle image, the waterfall is quite a bit smaller in the background, and I think because of that it loses some of that relationship with the foreground. By using a slightly longer lens or longer focal length, it brings that background forward a little bit, and it just has a better relationship altogether with the foreground and the background. Regardless, let me know what you think of the images and which one your favorite is.
Okay, hopefully I can hold this camera reasonably still. This is a really cool angle. The only thing that I'm not that happy about is the log. Oops. Is the log at the top here, but I love the way that the waterfall just kind of everything veers into this canyon and all meets at this one point. It would be nice if I could get a little bit higher so that I'm not including the sky, but I might have to just clone that out. So this is the scene that I'm looking at right here, and you see there's the log, and then there's this like a bridge above that looking down into the gorge. But it's a pretty cool scene. I've taken shots looking this way before, and it's really dramatic. I really love this little kind of side waterfall coming down the side here and leading into the main cascade here. So I'm going to take a bunch of pictures, and then unfortunately I'm going to have to leave because they close this park at 7 p.m. and I think it's already 7:30 now, so I'm going to have to get out of here, otherwise I'm going to get locked in. All right, well, that was another really quick trip, but you know, it's great having these areas so close to where I live, so at least then I can just, you know, I don't have to commit a whole day. I can just spend an hour or two, just take some photographs, get a bit of fresh air, and just enjoy the outdoors. And that's what I really love about living on the island here. I'm very fortunate. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video, and sorry, I'm in a bit of a rush because I don't want to get locked in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to give me a thumbs up if you did, and I'm looking forward to coming out here again. I might come out again tomorrow and slow down a little bit. I didn't get out here until probably around 4 o'clock, so it didn't give me an awful lot of time, but anyway, it's been good fun. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Till next time. Bye-bye.
A quick announcement before I let you go. FLM Tripods and Shimoda are both offering small discounts if you purchase any of their products at the present time. So I'll leave a link down below if you're in the market for a tripod or a camera pack. Bye for now.